Mr. Speaker, sir, let me speak from this or from the dispatch. Okay. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also rise to support the motion on food security. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to do this from a multifaceted point. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the duty of this generation to ensure that for the sake of both intra-generational equity and intergenerational equity, we provide a basis that would ensure that future generations in this country are able not only to feed themselves, but to have a foundation to feed themselves. This afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to speak both as a senator for Kisumu County, but also as a farmer, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm a farmer both in the maize sector, where I do some small farming, and I feed various people. I'm also a farmer in the sugar sector. And I think it is the diversity of farming or agriculture in its various forms that will feed this country. The North Rift and other regions, the Rift Valley, are the food basket, have been described as the food basket of this country. And that is why Senator Cherargei is passionate about maize farming, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, to achieve sustainable food security, we need to have a number of sectors working properly for the sake of this country, Mr. Speaker, sir. For maize to thrive and the growing of maize to thrive, we need the National Cereals Produce Board to work so that we have the strategic grain reserves in this country full with crop to the next year, so that farmers who produce maize for commercial value are compensated and are able to buy inputs and to buy fertilizers and till their land with ease for the next crop. That means that government needs to inject sufficient funds into the National Cereals and Produce Board and to ensure that the strategic grain reserve has sufficient maize so that in the event that we do not have favorable weather for the next season, Mr. Speaker, sir, there is enough food to feed maize for Kenyans. And Mr. Speaker, sir, we appreciate that ugali is a delicacy and a basic food for most Kenyans. I think in most regions, we find that ugali or maize is consumed across all the regions. Mr. Speaker, sir, we should not stop at maize. The production of beans, the production of other crops like rice in the Mwea area, in Ahero, will contribute to food security in this country. Government must therefore inject enough capital to ensure that we expand the areas that are currently under the growth of production of rice, both in Ahero, increase the acreage in production of rice, and in Mwea, so that again we are able to have, Mr. Speaker, sir, grain or rice grain sufficient to feed the people of this country. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the other sectors within livestock and agriculture, we must also harness the strength of other regions, like Northeastern, Mr. Speaker, sir, by ensuring that livestock is able to, Mr. Speaker, sir, thrive even during bad weather, Mr. Speaker, sir. That would call, Mr. Speaker, sir, for a working scheme, a well-managed Kenya Meat Commission that would provide market for animals, and that would therefore ensure, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we do not waste animals or lose animals to drought like I saw in this season, Mr. Speaker, sir, where Kajiado and other counties lost livestock because of bad weather. We need, Mr. Speaker, sir, to also increase the, Mr. Speaker, sir, harness and take advantage of our rivers and ensure that we have sufficient dams. So the government would have to put money in dams that will work to the benefit of our farmers. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me take this opportunity to also thank His Excellency the President, William Samoei Arap Ruto, for investing Kenya shillings 1 billion towards the research in fisheries in Kadibo in Kisumu County. That will go far in ensuring that the fishing sector and fish production is enhanced, and this will also contribute towards food security in this country. And Mr. Speaker, sir, just a few weeks ago, Kisumu County lost a lot of fish to cage fish farming, either because of scientific reasons or because of bad fish feeding products. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I raised a question in this House on that question. We must ensure that in every region of this country, Mr. Speaker, sir, where there is a resource, the government puts money to ensure that farmers of all types, fish farmers, maize farmers, livestock farmers, and all farmers are taken care of. Even the areas, Mr. Speaker, sir, under sugarcane are taken care of, so that farmers are taken care of and are liquid enough to invest in other sources, Mr. Speaker, sir, of ensuring that they are able to cater for themselves and their families and have sufficient a surplus to sell in some form, so that we do not, Mr. Speaker, sir, get to a point where we only address a crisis after a crisis, Mr. Speaker, sir. Food security is important in this country. It's important that the government focuses on the strength of every community, even amongst the Meru, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let us have enough resources or investment in a sector as vibrant as Mira, because that way, then intercropping will lead to some form of sustainability in a sector that is important to the people of that particular region, Mr. Speaker, sir. I support and I thank you for bringing up this debate, because this country, we cannot, Mr. Speaker, sir, be speaking to issues we spoke to 20 years ago. In 1984, when the world was united for famine in Ethiopia, we are facing that crisis 25 years later. That is unacceptable. This country and the government must stand up and protect its people for the sake of not only of today, Mr. Speaker, sir, but I spoke of intra-generational interests and intergenerational interests, so that this country moves forward for the benefit of its people. And we truly work as leaders, Mr. Speaker, sir, for our people. I thank you.